Good morning, traders. My morning video, I'm going to try to keep it as uh, concise as I can this morning. And so basically, we're trading right mid-range between the past 2 weeks anchored VWAPs. Right smack dab mid-range. We're currently below. We got a head and shoulders pattern on the bigger time frame on a weekly basis. We're currently still opening below that weekly neckline resistance. That's a point of control. That's our last point of control on the neckline. So we're currently trading below that this morning here on SPY. Trying to defend the lows so far this morning. Basically, if we were to start losing 580.50, 580.50 is pretty much the line in the fan using our anchor VWAPs. Then we could price discovery to the downside in that situation, and 586, you really don't want to get too bullish unless we start accepting prices over 586, in my opinion, using our anchored VWAPs. Qs are acting much worse. So when I was looking at the volume leaders, volumeleaders.com, and they have been, uh, institutions have been putting trades in at higher prices on financials, but on the flip side, on technology, they've been coming in and the lower highs, they've been executing uh, large orders at lower highs, stepping down day after day for the past couple weeks. And that process continued yesterday. So be very mindful of that. Tech is really under a lot of pressure. So using our weekly anchored VWAPs, you can see our anchored VWAP for this week so far is much more flat at the not too far off the lows, and we're trading awfully close to those lows going into today's data. We did have good data out of UK CPS. CPI numbers came in lighter than expected, given a little boost this morning. So be mindful of that. Okay. With that, okay, the Qs. Then IWM, you see how it's playing. We have bank numbers coming out this morning. So far this morning, we're in a bullish structure above last week's anchored VWAP, above 220. So, as long as we can stay above 220, you know, we would be looking towards the upside on this as rotation seems to be might be migrating back into the small caps. Okay, so be very mindful of that going forward here. Potential rotation back into small caps. So be quite mindful of that. And then diamonds the past couple days have been actually doing the best. Remember, that's only 30 stocks. So we're above last week's anchored VWAP as well on that one. So it's a better, more bullish structure than what we're seeing out of the big boys, the S&Ps and the Qs. Okay. Things happening in the market this morning. We have our ZNs this morning, retracing a little bit better, backtracking. Yields are coming down this morning after the positive CPI numbers out of UK. So, and we had good PPI numbers yesterday out of here in the U.S. We have CPI coming out this morning at 8:30. So, and this is a potential topping area in the markets. So we have to be very mindful of that possible topping area in yields, possible topping area in the yields area. It would be a lower high topping area if that were to happen. So let's definitely keep that in the back of our mind. We might be setting up for a lower high topping area on yields. Okay, but you see my anchored view up wall. We are still not above that. So price discovery should be this pop this morning should be suspect until proven until we break above. So this is a bearish pattern until it's not. So technically, just be very mindful of that scenario going forward here. TLT, if you put that on there, then you have your anchored view apps. You can see we've been down, we have been walking lower on our anchored view app for this week, anchored view app for the prior week. So this is a downtrend. Okay, this is not, nothing about this says the pattern has reversed other than the fact that we have a relief rally this morning. So just something to look for, a potential relief rally this morning in this scenario. Okay, another thing I really want to look at this morning, I got on the weekly time frame here. We are getting a little bit of reprieve this week. We are into You see this topping area right here? Okay, this is a topping area, potential topping area. Okay, so we could have a lower high setting up on the dollar as well. So we're seeing some backfill this morning. Nothing about the pattern says it's broken to the upside, but we are getting a little bit of weakness in the dollar this morning as well. So that's more supportive of equities between the bonds and between the dollar combo. That tends to be more supportive of equities. So keep in mind on that. Okay, when I delve down into my core ticker list here, Boeing, we're below both week anchored view app. This is a bearish pattern. We're below these prior lows, bearish pattern. So be very mindful on Boeing here. SMH still holding. We do have TSMC reporting in the morning, so that's going to be a big thing. We are holding above support. They're holding this anchored view app with a higher low scenario. Uh, so be very mindful of that. Apple. Apple is just trading right smack dab on its anchored view app, virtually flat for the week so far here. So heads up on that. We did have a large order right at this point that hit the tape on a lower high yesterday. So I want to see if this thing were to happen to push. Technically, knowing this is a lower high trade that hit yesterday, you would think that we'd break lower on that situation, but we have hit the expected move for the week. So this 100%, this is where we expected the markets to bounce. So this could be somebody coming in lower high, want to buy off the lower high, going out, an institution buying the lower high, or even Apple itself for a bullish move to the upside. So, but the odds, if you're holding the support and you can buy at the support, you know, and that, this is the odds favor the risk reward, knowing below the support, you're going to stop out. The risk reward could take you all the way up to, uh, 238.60 area. That would be a risk reward. You're probably looking about a 5-to-1 risk reward if you keep a really tight stop below this week's anchored view app, something like that, to the upside. Knowing, realizing, but see, you'd be betting against the trend. Because, like I said, the institutions have been selling into highs at lower highs each day here for a couple weeks now. So you would be betting against the trend if you're trying to buy a bounce here. I've seen many large trades in Microsoft that it keeps for several days now. Is been one of the top performers here, uh, in size. Okay, so be very mindful here. We've continued to try to push down. You see that the anchored view up is absolutely flat. I mean, unlike a lot of the trends, this week's anchored view is absolutely flat. When I see a situation like this thing is ready for a big move. So I don't know which way it's going to go, but when I see a situation like this, I mean, this thing's primed for a big move. So be very mindful of that. And we're the end of day range highs. We're starting to push out above early on this morning. So be very mindful of that. Not saying it's going higher. I'm just saying this is one I really got really focused in on, thinking a big move's about to happen in Microsoft. AMD, similar situation. Uh, it's not, it's we're still the anchored view app was lower to open the week. This is more of a bearish pattern. We're already pushing back below it this morning. Heads up on that. This is more of a bearish structure, in my opinion, on AMD. NVIDIA, bearish structure. We're still below this week's anchored view app, really acting bearish. So, bottom line is, I don't like the idea coming in below this week's anchored view app. I mean, just be very mindful of that. You are really, this is potential falling knife, but we do have a higher low. That's the only bullish takeaway that I can have, that we have a higher low. That's it. That's the only thing I can say about NVIDIA. Okay. Tesla this morning, bearish pattern. We're below both 2 weeks of view app. Ideally, if we had had these two crossing and we were opening up here around the 403, or something like that, I would be looking to the upside with both 2 weeks of anchor VWAP crossing at the same point. We're currently trading below that, so it's more of a bearish pattern instead of a bullish pattern. So be mindful of that. Google, similar situation, virtually flat for the week. Uh, so this thing here could be setting up, building. And the thing one is about Google, it's really not been alerting by the institutions. So be mindful of that one there. Really flat price action happening here, uh, being defended off of a higher low. So be mindful of that as well. Meta, very bearish pattern, very bearish price action below this week's anchor VWAP, below the prior week's anchor VWAP. Okay, this one here's it really got hurt yesterday. So it really got hurt. It seems to be trying to do a relief rally here. We had a really large order at 94th percentile to end last year. We're currently trading below that, suggesting a big sell order possibly hit Meta to finish out last year's calendar year, and we're trading below that. So be very mindful of that. Netflix, bearish pattern. We're walking down the anchor view up this week. Potentially could be breaking supports, so be mindful of that. Amazon. uh, so higher low. Uh, I'm really not seeing, past few days, haven't seen any type of price action alerts on this one here, so I'm keeping a really close eye on that one. We got these prior lows here. We're still trading below these prior lows. I would, I would have to say we'd have to start accepting prices, around the 219 or higher to to suggest going to the long side. This has proven already this week that there have been sellers sitting up here to sell into strength. So we have already proven seller strength in a lot of these tech stocks that yesterday that got rejected. So be mindful of that. MSTR try looks like it tried to go bullish on a 2 week time frame. We're kind of stalled right there this morning here. Potentially a higher, we have a higher low here, a 2 day higher low, possibly a three if we can maintain these lows. But the pattern is just not overly bullish in my opinion this morning. Broadcom's on my list now. Broadcom's acting pretty bearish here. We know it had one hell of a run since the earnings. So this is another one. It looks, yeah, almost looks like it's bear flag. You see how we rejected. This is a very tight anchored view at pattern on the 2 week and how fast it rejected. This is really looking more bearish. So be very mindful. Some of our ETFs here, financials, are off to the moon this morning. Heads up on that. Let's see here. So today's all about financials. What's going on with the banks and stuff. XLY. Yeah, it's not showing up on some of these. Okay. Okay. Let me go over here and see what's happening on the pre-market watch list real quick here. On the pre-market watch list here, I'm not showing any banks hitting the top of the list. You see that, guys? Banks are reporting this morning, and none of the banks are showing up yet. So be very mindful of that. We're getting a rally in the banks. I don't know if JP Morgan's the big one today. I doubt it's out yet. It doesn't look like it's out yet. See if I can find a news feed here. Live news. There it is. JP Morgan. Yep. JP Morgan beat. It just hasn't come down here yet. So we have a big beat on JP Morgan. It's off to the races. Heads up on that. So that's going to be quite supportive of the markets if this holds up. So remember, JP Morgan's the biggest bank in the world for the most part. So, and when they had the big beat, it's going to be great for the overall equity markets. Just be very mindful of that. I can't remember what else was reporting today. One second here. Okay, guys, we got Citibank, BlackRock, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs. I thought Goldman Sachs was tomorrow. I can't remember. I think Goldman Sachs is tomorrow, but it's showing up in earnings whisper this morning. Bank of New York Mellon. Yeah, it's a bunch of banks. Okay, so be very mindful of that. I thought, or maybe it's Bank of America tomorrow. I can't remember. So, yeah, I'll just go through a few of these real quick, and then we'll call it an end to the video here. So we have Wells Fargo. Okay, let me link up my thing here. Yeah, their earnings are out on Wells Fargo. Got an initial bounce here. Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is a money center bank, so it's a different kind of bank. It's not out yet. I thought for sure that was tomorrow. About Bank of America? Uh, no, Bank of America's not out. Okay, other ones. Citi, Citigroup. It's not out yet. Citi's not out yet, guys. So still early in the morning. Citi's not hasn't reported yet into a double topping situation here on Citi. Uh, is it BK uh, Bank of New York Mellon? It's out. Okay, Bank of New York Mellon. It is out. Okay, and what was the other one? There was one other there that I didn't can't remember what it was. Wells Fargo, Citi, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, BLK. And this is where I'm going to finish the video. BlackRock. So they must have good earnings too. They're popping up this morning as well. BlackRock. So institutions have been accumulating at higher prices on the banks. So it should be supportive today for the upside on the banks. A lot of times you'll see early morning bank gap ups on sectors after earnings and stuff like that, and they fade their pops. But seeing what the institutions have been doing for the past couple weeks, the odds, in my opinion, favor that they will support a lot of the moves in the banking industry today. So be very mindful of that. So please follow me, Gumby9662 on Twitter if you get a chance, and retweet my post. And I really appreciate some likes below on my YouTube channel, and any comments you can give me, I appreciate. Okay. So bottom line is, I would lean. Okay, tech is looking pretty ugly. I mean, if they decide to sell tech today, there's nothing we can do about that. But you know, as long as these tech names are holding above this week's anchored VWAP, it might be a buying opportunity, a little short squeeze going into Taiwan Semi's earnings tomorrow. So that'd be my primary thesis. Trying to buy some of these tech names off the this week's anchored VWAP for a potential push higher in today's session. So